King Kong and Godzilla go head-to-head in an epic battle of the beast when the giant gorilla escapes from captivity in Japan and squares up to the recently thawed lizard. It's King Kong versus Godzilla. Welcome, class, to Ghoul School. Unfortunately, Professor Fester McBiteyface had to rush off to an emergency dental appointment today. So please welcome your substitutes.
Whoever wins, we lose. Hey everybody,
That's not how we open the podcast.
I'm your it is this
kiss.
week.
They will kiss. They will kiss. They will kiss.
I'm your first host, Brian Electric Scale Axe Stork.
I am your second host, Noland Nosferatu? It's a question. Illinois.
And I'm Caroline, the Call of Cthulhu Knight.
Hell yeah. We got some King Kong versus Godzilla business going on this week.
King Kong vs.
Godzilla. Ooh. What is he wearing? It must be Godzilla.
Sexy.
Kong King versus
Godzilla.
Blogzilla.
What's that smell? Do you hear that? What's that smell?
I was gonna say it's a King Kong vs. Godzilla watch, but obviously I don't know how to talk after the hour of 6 p.m.
Hey guys, look, I might be going insane, or I might already have been insane for a while, but King Kong vs. Godzilla looks fucking sick.
Are you talking about the one that is coming out, or
the
the
new
one
one,
we're gonna
the new
watch?
one.
The
Yeah,
new
yeah.
one that's coming out.
I think it looks pretty sick.
I think it looks sick in the way that when you're a kid and you're playing with like some action figures and you create like a cataclysmic explosion, like the way that is sick, this movie's gonna be sick.
I wasn't saying that like, oh man, this is gonna really reframe the way I think about my life, but
I mean, it may reframe
cinema.
how I think about my life for sure.
Big
You
Monkey
might think
has
that there's gonna be
axe.
a monkey.
I was deeply upset that they didn't commit to King Kong being like a third the size of Godzilla so that he could ride him like a big horse, but they did give King Kong an electric scale axe, so that's pretty good.
And I never knew I wanted to see King Kong fight with a weapon. you know?
No, it
And
makes
now
sense.
I realized
though. It's
I
cool.
did. Where did
he's-
he get the handle? You know?
It seems like was it just like a tree maybe like a
Yeah,
Well,
probably.
that's the thing, because it's not like Groot, you know?
yeah. Was it tied?
Y'all ever did that thing when you were a kid where you were like, I'm a fucking kaiju, and you were eating broccoli and you pretended it was trees?
Of course.
It's like he did that, but with trees.
How else do you get through the day as a child?
I more so just ate my action figures.
Also a very
Something
good.
went wrong along the way.
All right. So we are not watching the film that has yet to be released, King Kong vs. Godzilla. We are
That would
watching
be so cool, though.
the film that was released, King Kong vs. Godzilla. Mm-hmm. So we're going to
What
be...
year did this come out, dear Brian?
This film came out in the year of our Lord, 1962.
Delightful.
And the main thing, I haven't actually seen this movie yet. I have this massive collection of various Godzilla movies that was given to me by God, maybe? I'm not entirely sure. No, it was a family friend who gave me all of these Godzilla movies, and one of them
Angel.
is King Kong versus Godzilla. I've never watched it, but I do know one very prominent myth about this movie, which is that there are two endings. That in the American version, King Kong wins, and in the Japanese version, Godzilla wins.
Isn't that not true?
It is not true. There is, but there is something about it that is true, and I'm going to save it until after the break when we come back. But I do have a couple of other fun facts about this film.
I've seen this film before. I think I'm the only one of us that's seen this before.
Excellent.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
To be honest, I don't remember much about it. I watched it when I had a very high fever. I was very ill, and I was like, you know what? I need some good old big guys fighting each other to cure the illness within me.
When else do you watch a movie like this, though? You know,
I don't like I watch kaiju movies when I'm sick.
That's the only time you watch it. Yeah.
Like it's something that comforts me deeply. Is I either watch like fucking Ratatouille and Monsters Inc. or I watch some kaiju movies.
Yeah, I mean, like, at least I might be sick, but at least Gojira ain't outside, you know?
Yeah, well, and also, like, at least I can watch, like, Godzilla and Mechagodzilla fucking duke it out, and they're so big. How they get so big?
How they get so big? An excellent question.
How do they get so big?
Tell me, Carol.
Antibiotics.
Carol, while you were watching this film, did you happen to notice that it features the Davy Crockett, a portable missile-launched nuclear weapon developed by the United States, which, at the time, was still classified?
Fuck, that's crazy.
Wait, what? That's insane.
Apparently it features a real weapon system that, at the time, was classified.
How does that happen?
I don't know.
Did the FBI get involved? Like, what?
That's
what
amazing.
happened on that front? That kept me
Did
okay.
Godzilla King of Monsters reference that? Because there was a big secret weapon in that movie.
It's possible. It's actually interesting. So this is both the third movie for both King Kong and Godzilla. It's also the first time they were both in widescreen and in color.
Dang, they got to the team up, like the matchup. Movies real fast,
which is weird because it feels like this should be like super late stage, you know, like it feels like this should be like 7 movies in forever
when they're running out of ideas.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, this was super early, and it also has like there are a lot of images from this film that are seared into my brain just from like existing in the general orbit of monster things. There's one image that's almost certainly going to be on the thumbnail of the video, which is King Kong being lifted up by dozens of balloons into the sky, attached to helicopters.
Like a really like an action movie version of Up.
Kind of like, I wouldn't say an action movie.
Okay.
I would say
a slapstick comedy.
A slapstick comedy, yeah.
Ooh, fun. Okay.
The last fun fact that I have about this movie before I really just want to, well, first place our bets and then jump into it, is that this film actually was originally supposed to be Godzilla versus Frankenstein.
Ooh, wow.
The original script was for Godzilla versus Frankenstein's monster, or Frankenstein in the body of another King Kong. It's very weird, but the idea was basically stolen from the creator and turned into Godzilla vs. King Kong. So keep that in mind, I guess.
Interesting. Huh.
But all right, who do you think? Let's go in a circle. And Carol, you don't remember much about this movie, right?
No.
Okay.
I think I fell asleep at like the hour mark.
Great.
So right before I would have figured out who actually won.
Okay, so let's place our bets right here, right now. King Kong versus Godzilla, who's coming out on top?
Like in a sexual way?
Yes.
Stop. We've already done this with trucks. You already hurt me deeply that way.
Godzilla versus King Kong versus Mater.
Now that's the movie that filmmakers are too afraid to make these days.
Here's what I think. I think that they're gonna have a real rough and tussle. You know, they had one meeting earlier and this guy won, and then they had a meeting another one earlier and the other one won, and now it's like round 3, Game Town, and they're
Welcome to Game Town, boys.
And they're fighting. It's going crazy. They're going all across the city. And they get to the end, and King Kong is about to use his scaly battle axe to impale Mr. Godzilla in the chest with it. And then they realize that they both have, their moms have the same name. And that causes them to go team up and fight against a larger threat.
So
Save
so they
Mothra.
realize that they're brothers?
Save Mothra.
Save Mothra.
Okay.
That's very good, and I think entirely accurate.
I think that my lizard boy has some evolutionary advantages over Monkey Man.
Okay.
First, he got scales. Scales
course.
defense up immediately. You ready to go?
Right.
Second, he got claws.
For sure.
So he got teeth. King Kong also got teeth, but he got teeth and claws.
That's true. That's one more than King Kong has.
No, I have arguments. but
He
continue.
also has big fucking tail. And King Kong has a tail.
I don't think
But
he
it's not
does.
big for
I
him.
don't
He
think
definitely does
King
not
Kong
have a
has
tail.
Do you know what
Does
a
he
gorilla
not?
is?
No, he doesn't have a tail.
I thought he was a monkey.
No, he's an ape.
Oh, well, I could have sworn he had a tail.
So
Fucking
it's even-
Kinda sick
Mandela
if he
effect,
did.
baby. I'm living in an alternate dimension.
So it's even worse for Kong, really.
Well,
Yes.
no. Here's my
He
argument.
doesn't have a big fucking tail.
Yeah.
Don't even shut up, Nolan. Fucking Godzilla.
Godzilla
sweeps,
is not near as mobile.
Yeah, that's true.
Godzilla sweeps the legs with the tail. What is King Kong gonna do?
Jump.
King Kong can recover. He can jump. He's fast.
I
Trust
think
me, I know.
But
I
if
raced
he's-
him in high school.
that's true. That's true. We all went to high
Okay.
school with King Kong.
There's also the question: are we talking about King Kong that is 1/3 the size of Godzilla, or are they equal sizes?
Now that is also an excellent question.
Yeah,
First
I have
off-
no idea. Yeah,
okay,
this
here's
movie.
what I would say. If we're at comparable size, if they're the same height, I think that King Kong wins purely because he's smarter than Godzilla.
Yes.
He's faster than Godzilla,
Absolutely.
and he can make and use tools. I
I
think,
agree.
but
The opposable thumbs will wreck Godzilla's shit if they are the same size.
right.
Godzilla ain't got weapons.
But if King Kong is 1/3 to 1/4 the size of Godzilla,
Or even half.
or even I think I think at a certain point the smaller he is the better off he is because he can do some Shadow of the Colossus climbing Godzilla with his
but
little
the,
scale
the
axe.
foot surface area is just so absurd at that point that
All
like,
King Kong needs is one good hit.
That's true.
Yeah. Then again,
That's
Godzilla
contrary. That also goes for Godzilla as well.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
This fight would last 8 seconds, like
You
one
could
way or
say
the
that
other.
about any fight.
Yeah.
Now, okay. Well, what if we
Say
lay?
all somebody
What if
needs
we?
is one good hit.
What if we lay down our weapons and who wins at chef's table?
Oh man.
Cooking up them fresh eats.
I mean, it's got to be
Good treats.
Godzilla's sweet atomic breath creme brulee. I feel.
Atomic breath. Ooh, I was gonna say he probably makes some great chicken wings.
But I will say,
Do you think he'd be against
the
that?
technique might be off. While I think that Godzilla would be good at flavor profiles,
Okay.
I feel like his technique would be off because he has no opposable thumbs.
That's a fair
why.
point.
Okay, this
That's a
is
fair
why
point.
King Kong wins the fight no matter what. Is because he is smarter. He's more strategic. He's got the opposable thumbs. He can build weapons, and he's
Okay.
fast. And he is, yeah.
But he
beat me in
also
the
he also
weaponless.
over seasons though.
Yeah.
Do you think?
But weaponless, I feel like Godzilla takes it because of the claw, teeth, tail advantages.
Look,
Claw
I've
teeth
always
tail ratio.
I've always
Yeah.
said this. King Kong is the Batman of kaiju.
You have always,
he
you
has-
have always said this.
If he has, I've been saying it since the day I was born. If he
thumbs up.
has prep time, Kong can do some damage. But if he's got nothing going on, he's gonna climb to the top of Empire State Building, fall right off like a little fool.
yeah,
Yeah,
he is-
it's
yeah.
a Batman versus Superman question at the end of the day.
Yeah. All right. Well,
true.
let's jump right into this, I guess.
Wait, does that make Godzilla Superman?
Yeah.
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 That's just not okay. That's just not a good analogy. But whatever.
He can fly, you idiot.
It's not a physical thing. Okay, whatever.
Everybody knows
The fact that he
Godzilla.
terrorizes cities instead of saving them.
Godzilla is the Aquaman of the kaiju universe.
I see Godzilla as honestly really kind of a true neutral,
Yeah.
and that is not Superman at all.
Well, then
No.
who's the Superman of who's a good guy kaiju?
Mothra,
Hell yeah.
Let's watch this.
but
movie.
she's
Alright, let's
a
go.
lady.
Let's get out of here. So this one killed Caro, actually.
Yeah, they died.
Yeah, this is a
Literally.
unique one in that this one killed Caro.
If you can't tell, it's just me and Brian here.
Yeah.
Because Caro died.
They are still attached to the desk. It's very uncomfortable. We've been told that the school nurse is on the way to revive using Frankenstein magic, but until then, we're just gonna have to kind of wing this one. And it's, it kind of feels like when you've got like your teacher leaves the room or like is absent for a day, and you've got like a sub, and you're just kind of left to your own devices.
It's like us, but squared, because we are substitutes. But now, I mean, let's be honest. Carol was our teacher.
Yeah, our teacher is gone, so it's just us,
unsupervised,
and we're gonna try to do our best here. So basically, what we did was I watched the Japanese version of the film, and Nolan, you watched the American version of the film.
I watched the English dub, but also completely different movie.
It's real different. It's real different. So, okay. Have
you seen the English version before?
No, I've seen bits of it, and I know some things that are different. But so since Caro's not here to do it, let's, I think, each attempt a two sentence synopsis of this film. Okay, so a Japanese ad agency uses magic orange juice to drug King Kong and get him to fight Godzilla.
Right.
They fight for a while, and then the flower festival saves the day.
Okay.
The end.
So I don't even really have to do a 2-sentence synopsis because my movie is exactly the same, but it is there is a frame narrative device of a newsroom populated by people from multiple different countries that are breaking the fourth wall and telling us, the audience, here's what's going on.
So is this like direct? Like, is this a news broadcast, or is this just they're talking to the camera telling us what's happening?
It's a bunch of a bunch of white guys and then like one Japanese guy. They're all sitting around in their suits, and they've got the big UN logo behind them.
Okay.
And they're explaining what the berries are, and they're saying, here's what you just saw. Here's what you're about to see. And then you see it. And that's it.
Like it's like a weird kind of nature documentary almost.
Kind of. I think it's like that. And I almost, what I imagine, it's also structured like a news broadcast in the sense of like they kind of treat it like it must be happening on people's screens and on their radios in the movie universe as well.
Okay.
Which is weird.
That's so strange.
Yeah. It is really strange.
I mean,
because I feel like I got a significantly lesser experience of the movie because of that.
I'm not entirely sure that you did, because it seemed like from us kind of talking back and forth as we were watching our two versions of the movie, it seemed like you got to the action a lot faster than I did. And
I did.
Part of the way that happened, I feel, is probably, I'm just gonna put this guess out there, that your movie didn't spend about 25 minutes doing blackface.
Yeah, I definitely are you referring to when they're on, is it called it's called Faroe Island in this movie, right?
Which is, it's not Skull Island. So a couple of members of this ad agency go to this mysterious island called Faroe Island in order to find a monster that they can like use for branding, and it ends up being Kong. It's not Skull Island, which I guess is because in the context of King Kong's existence, like if it was at Skull Island, you would know what the monster is already. Like, they don't know what they're gonna find.
But you just went to a movie that's called King Kong versus Godzilla.
No, I mean, but the ad agency wouldn't. Like, they wouldn't. But also, why aren't they just going after Kong from the beginning anyway? Like, why create that extra layer of we don't know what monster we're trying to conscript into our ad agency.
Right, like, isn't it an interesting story if, like, you send these ad agency people there on the legend of there's a giant ape here that we could maybe use. Let's go figure out if the legend is true.
And it seems like a logical continuation of, like, because the original King Kong movie is, as far as I can tell, canon for this movie. So it's like,
yeah, I guess so.
So it's like somebody kidnapped King Kong and did a show with him, and it didn't work for them, but maybe it'll work for us.
Maybe it'll work for us.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, what's the deal with King Kong and just being only being approached by media companies?
Yeah, and, I mean, he's got brand deals, like, coming left and right. He's on cereal boxes. He's all over the place, and I think it's interesting.
He's got an ad for Adam and Eve and for Blue Chew. And
For sure. He'd really like to tell you about Squarespace, but I feel like it's weird that the message of King Kong is always, like, leave the natural world alone, like leave these beasts alone. We don't understand them, and we have no right to, like, remove them from their, that sort of thing. But it's always initially an accident. Like, it's always they stumble across, like, they're never going to find Kong. They're always like, oh, we're gonna go film a movie on this island, and then, oh shit, I'm a big monkey.
Right.
Like,
now,
it's
this time they're like, we're gonna go take advantage of this. Of this guy, and we're gonna steal his image rights. Like,
right. And it's and so anyway, the natives on the island are all this really horrible. I guess it's not quite blackface, but it's like native stereotypes, and it's clearly a bunch of Japanese people who have had their skin darkened and are wearing wigs.
Darkened.
Yeah. Which isn't great. And there's also during this portion there's a giant squid encounter, which the effects are very fun, but it made both of us deeply uncomfortable.
So uncomfortable. And also, like, I don't really understand how it started.
I think so. There's a mother who's chasing her child who's out when he's not supposed to be. And then they run into this building, and the giant squid just, like, slurps itself on top of the building. Because it
My
senses
question is why,
child?
Why is there... I guess so? It is definitely after the child. It's definitely interested in the child.
It's definitely
interested. My question is, why does it... was it already on land?
Yeah, because you'd think this would not be... Like, you'd think something must have gone horribly wrong for it to be, like...
For it to get there in the first place?
In this landlocked area of the island, just kind of squishing around.
Right.
It looks confused as to why it's there. Like everybody's throwing, like torches and stuff at it, and it's just like, ow.
Yeah, it's not so much... No one's looking at it with fear. It's more so, like, discomfort and, like, what the hell?
Yeah, and
why is this... Why are you here?
There's even a line, at least in the Japanese version, where one of them's like, why don't we just let it chill where it is? And the other one's like, well, because that kid's under it.
That line, it was not in my
It's
version.
not. It's pretty good. Like, because one of them's just like, it seems like this thing is fine. And they're like, no, there's a kid under there. It's also...
effects
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Fun.
No,
the
they
effects are fun. It's the sound. The sound of it just is deeply unsettling.
The sound is deeply unsettling. I think there's a really fun effect where because it's mostly just a regular sized real squid that's being rear projected, and you've got these, like, regular sized people in the foreground and stuff, but there are a couple moments where it'll, like, grab someone with a tentacle, and it actually, like, at least the like, it's very clearly kind of janky stop motion, but for the time, like, and just seeing it very quickly and in the dark, it looks pretty good. But anyway, the first appearance of Kong following that is Kong just shows up, and if I remember correctly, he just shows up and beats the shit out of this octopus.
He does, yeah, he does. And he's a sleepy Kong. Even before he gets into the berries, he's a little sleepy in the face.
He is generally sleepy. There were actually, when this movie came out, people were angry about the Kong's face because they thought it was too comedic. And I think...
It is funny. It genuinely is funny.
It is really funny. It's basically this big derpy, like, grin, and he's got eyes. Like, he's got eyes that have lids, and a lot of the time they're, like, half closed.
Right, he's a sleepy Kong.
And he's got very defined fingers, which made me uncomfortable. And he also
But
like
his hands are crusty too.
they're pretty
really
crusty
hands.
He's just always like it always feels like he's making just like a
He just seems he's kind of it's like bliss. It's like he's really it makes him look like he's really dumb, and because he's really dumb, he's blissfully happy all the time.
Yeah, it's exactly what it feels like. And something that the natives do to like calm him down or to like limit him walking around the island, which is weird that they want to, because it seems like all he does is beat up squids for them. But they use these special berries to make basically they make Rufalin for Big Monkey, and they do it in the form of orange juice, and he just picks up these big like mason jars of it and just fucking chugs it, and he's loving it. He's having a great time.
And the thing there's number one, that's how my movie starts.
That's how it starts?
No. My movie starts with these UN guys with a big jar of berries, like, these berries are the key to everything. These berries will put you to sleep. They'll also make you really strong.
Wait, they say
That's
the berries
how it
also
starts.
make him strong?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
That's not a thing in that, which is weird, because why would you want to be both really strong and asleep?
Maybe I'm totally...
It's
transparency. We watched this movie like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm a little delirious, but I'm pretty sure that they also said it makes them strong.
That's amazing.
And when Kong eats it, I'm pretty sure there was a line that said, he's getting bigger. And I'm looking at Kong and I'm like,
he's getting swole as fuck.
He's totally fucking yoked.
I do think that does sound like a very like American studio note where somebody in the higher chain of command was like, well, obviously Godzilla should win. Say that the berries make him strong.
It's a big RKO note.
For sure. And
who was the American production company on this?
It might have actually. Let me check, because it might have been
I don't think RKO would have been would they have been around still?
There's a good chance they weren't. Hold on one second. Let me check that out.
But also the size difference between Kong himself and the orange juice container. It should
basically
be significantly smaller in his hand.
He's taking shots of orange juice.
Right, yeah, for sure.
It is surprisingly difficult to find this information, which is distressing me a little bit.
I feel like I may have seen something that said Universal, but I don't think Universal ever had rights to Kong.
No, because they always had to like step around it. So the studio that made the movie was Toho Studio in Japan, and it was distributed. The the American version was Universal International, so it is Universal Studios.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Which is surprising because it seems like they've never really had the rights to Kong, but yep.
But maybe they saw, I don't know who would have been in charge at the time, saw this and they're like, we don't want the rights to Kong.
What if
you can't have the rights to Kong.
What if we just never had the rights to Kong? But yeah, They drug Kong. They get him on a big boat. There's the head of the ad agency he's J. Jonah Jameson except dumber. He's like, get me pictures of Kong.
Literally giving.
And he arrives on the boat in a helicopter, and
that opens a new meta narrative, Brian, and we need to talk about it.
Okay.
That means that if this ad agency guy is the J. Jonah Jameson of this universe, that means that there is a photographer that works at that ad agency that is Kong in disguise. Getting pictures of himself.
He's like, this guy's like, Kong is a menace, and then like there's like a giant gorilla in like little glasses, and he's like, oh, I don't know about this.
I don't know if he's a menace. He was trying to save that burning building of people.
Yeah, I think Kong saved that woman. So this dude shows up, this ad agency guy, and he's like, oh my god, this is incredible. We've got our spokesperson or whatever, King Kong. This is great. People won't shut the fuck up about Godzilla. They do
call him a spokesperson.
They do call him a spokesperson. And they're like, people won't shut up about Godzilla because Godzilla's recently resurfaced. He destroyed like a submarine. He actually, the way that Godzilla appears in this movie, and it might be different for you, but there's an American submarine that locates an iceberg and then seems to just kind of crash into the iceberg and get stuck, even though they're aware of it as they're approaching it. And then they're trying to like get out or like break the ice or something, and they inadvertently release Godzilla, who destroys the submarine. And then a helicopter passing overhead sees this like yellow like liquid or whatever that's like risen from that they say it must be a flare from the sub. But if you're struggling to eat your dinner and watching this film like I was, then and you miss one or two subtitles, it would appear that Godzilla was trapped in this iceberg until his hot piss broke through it and released him unto the world once more.
Hey, you know how it is sometimes. Sometimes you're just sleeping away in your iceberg. Then you got to take a piss, and damn, now you're out in the world again.
That's how it goes, and now you got to do stuff. Now you got to fight Big Monkey.
Now you got to fight Big Monkey, Big Wet Monkey.
Yeah, big wet monkey, and the monkey does get wet because what happens is he's strapped to this boat that's traveling back to Japan, and
we really skated over this, and we need to go back.
Yeah, we do. And he's like strapped to the boat, and or onto like a barge that's being towed by the boat, and it's laced with a fuck ton of TNT, so that if Kong starts to wake up, they'll blow him up. And the ad executive is like, oh my god, this is so great, Kong's here, it's fantastic. And then Kong starts to wake up, and he's like, and the two guys who like got him are like, oh, we need to blow Kong up, and they're like going for the lever that does it, and the ad executive is like, no, don't do it, he's gonna sell so much Wheatina or whatever, and and they're like fighting about it, and then in what may be the worst like physical like fake trip I've ever seen, the ad executive basically just turns around, takes the lever, and pushes it forward and blows Kong up. And then he's like, oh no, I did it on accident.
I lost my spokesperson.
Yeah, but then Kong rises from the sea in classic Bond girl fashion.
From the metaphorical ashes.
Yes, the metaphorical and physical real ashes. And he is beautiful. His eyes are barely open, but also too open.
Very sleepy.
And actually, this whole sequence really felt to me like we were about to hit. Like, it's really similar to the trailer for the new Godzilla vs. King Kong when he's fighting Godzilla on the boat. I really thought we were just gonna straight up just get that, because it was getting close.
I'm pretty sure that there's a shot in the trailer for the new version where Kong is being sort of towed on a barge via another boat.
It's the same.
It makes me feel like that. Regardless of the quality of the Gareth Edwards universe of Godzilla movies,
right?
I do think there is probably a very deep affection for all of these original films.
I think something that is very clear is that he at the very least watched this before. He's seen this, and that brings joy to my heart.
Well, actually, you know who directed this upcoming King Kong Godzilla?
Oh, who is it?
It is Death Note 2019 director Adam Wingard.
Oh God, I knew that, and then I put it away. I mean, he's not necessarily bad. It's just...
No, I think he actually is very good.
Yeah,
he made a movie called The Guest that's really great, and he did the 2016 Blair Witch, which I think is underrated.
Okay, all right.
Dare I say underrated?
We should do an episode on Blair Witch stuff.
Oh, please, yeah.
But
I love Blair Witch stuff.
Anyway, so basically the rest of the movie can be boiled down to what most of these movies can be boiled down to, which is human characters run around doing things you don't care about, while King Kong and Godzilla lazily approach each other, fight, or almost fight, and then wander away from each other until finally the final altercation. Their fights in this are stunning to behold, I would say.
Yeah, and in a way, I'd say that in a way. There's some things that they do. I think Godzilla has a scene where he just says "fuck you" to a train full of people.
He does actually. That's a really pretty scene. Like there's a train miniature that has like these little like shadow people inside. It's very cute. I like it. But but he actually, each of them gets to fuck up a train. King Kong and Godzilla, that was in their contract.
Oh,
They each have to
Yeah.
get to fuck up a train. Or
Right,
it's like
right. Those performers, they asked for that.
yeah, it's like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where the only way they could get all the Disney characters and the Looney Tunes characters is if they had exactly equal screen time. It's like that, except exact number of train destructions.
Train fucks up. Yeah.
Right.
How many people on the train did you kill?
Yeah.
That's the question. Yeah.
And I actually I didn't think about this until just now, but I do appreciate that the way that each of them destroys the train is pretty specific to how those monsters act. Like Godzilla just kind of walks through the train, and doesn't even like seem to be aware of the train.
Yeah, it's actually really on brand in terms
Yeah.
of his character.
While King Kong like picks up the train and like looks inside of it like curiously, and then like
Right.
drops. And I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. I think
I actually think that's very interesting.
yeah. I think that they while. Look, when I said the fights between King Kong and Godzilla are stunning, I mean that in the way that they stunned me.
Yeah. Not in the sense of, beautiful.
But I do think that there is a lot of love for these characters in here.
And I think we also have to take into, like, it's like the thing of if you gave someone from 1303 in England, a peasant in England in 1303, you gave them a Dorito, right?
Right, yeah.
If you, like, that is more flavor that they will ever have in their entire life. If we showed someone from 1963 what our version of King Kong v. Godzilla is going to be,
They would die. They would die
yeah.
right there on the spot.
wouldn't be able to comprehend it. Like,
They would be like, this looks just like a Blair Witch movie that might be underrated, and then they die. But it's so the first altercation between Kong and Godzilla is very good in that it's very bad. They approach each other. They're on this like hilly kind of like hills. And
Brian doesn't have a driver's license.
yeah, hilly hills. And basically, if I remember the exact chain of events correctly, Godzilla fires a blast of atomic breath that like scorches King Kong just a little bit, and Kong kind of stumbles away and like looks down at his chest and just starts to kind of like try to like get the smoke off of him, and it's a very long shot of him just like and then he like looks back
about it.
he like looks back up at Godzilla, and Godzilla's like meh. And King Kong's like and then
it's like, when they're I'm not a professional wrestling fan.
Yeah.
But you know how they have the pre-thing where they just look at each other and they say shit, and then they like look at each other some more, and then it's over?
yeah.
That's what this was.
It really is, and I deeply wanted there to be subtitles where it's just like, hey, fuck you. No, fuck
Hey,
you.
fuck you, guy.
Hey. And like King Kong then like throws a big styrofoam rock at Godzilla and basically misses. They're like really close to each other, but he only like hits a leg sort of, and Godzilla's just like,
Right.
ugh. And then Godzilla fires another blast of atomic breath that blows up a helicopter, and the reaction shot on Kong is the greatest thing he's just like, what the fuck? Like, it's so, there's more emotion in that shot of Kong than any acting
probably for the
performance
rest
I've
of
ever
the-
seen.
Yeah, probably. I mean, for the rest of the movie combined, there is more performance in that one shot. I can picture it.
I think if there's any episode of this podcast that you need to watch the video of, it's probably this one, because it's hard to put into words how deeply full of derp both of these monsters are.
Yeah.
Who would you say the protagonist is of your version of the American dub?
So there's the scene in the apartment. Freak, what is his name? The scene in the apartment where the guy shows him the wire. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay.
The guy that is not hanging on the wire.
Right.
Starts with an F.
So there's a brother and a boyfriend, and those are their main character traits.
Yes. Yeah.
And you're referring to the brother.
I think it's it's the brother. Yeah, because
Okay.
he shows up back at his apartment.
Okay.
And
That's the same for me. I was wondering if they were, because like I know in the original Godzilla when it was brought to the U.S. introduced and like an American protagonist with like all new footage. I was curious if they had done that in this version.
Unless you count the the
UN thing,
weird UN thing, but
right.
Yeah,
okay.
It's still Fujita. Fujita is I think his name.
I deeply wish to talk about the climax of this film because
Mr. Taco, that dub is super racist.
I was, you know what? If I had to guess one who was probably the most racist, it would be that one.
It would be that one. Yeah, for sure.
But okay, so the climax of this film, they drug Kong again because he's been making too many hijinks in the wrong area. He's been walking into too many power lines. He's been flossing with the power lines. It's no good for anybody. So they drug him again. And then they are like, well, we've got him, but how are we going to transport him to get him to Godzilla? And somebody goes, we'll use the balloons from the local flower festival.
Yep.
So you gotta understand.
It's kind of like an up scenario.
You gotta understand, listeners. What they do is they tie a fuck ton of balloons to King Kong and they raise him into the sky and they float him by the balloons across Japan.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine just trying to brush your teeth in your bedroom and then just right by your window?
I can't imagine. And they're like, "Oh my god!"
This is indestructible wire,
yes.
And this has been, for some reason, one of the characters has like invented an indestructible wire.
Yeah,
and
he's not a scientist or an inventor. I think he's also an ad guy. I think they're all ad guys. There's three kinds of people in Japan, according to this movie. There's ad agency representatives, woman. And
the three genders, if you will.
And soldier. Those are the three things you can be.
This is the three genders in 1963: ad agency, soldier, and woman.
Yeah. And so Kong is wrestling and rustling around trying to get out of these classy balloons.
Making a big ol' mess
for sure. And they go, all right, drop him. So they blow the balloons, and Kong just hurls down toward the ground and falls really hard and starts like tumbling down a mountain. And Godzilla's just watching like, what the fuck?
He's like, what the?
He's like,
where did he come from?
Is that guy from? And then Kong barrels into him.
It's literally like, is that guy from earlier?
Kong barrels into him. They fall into the city. They're breaking buildings. They're punching each other. They're having a real rough go of it. There's a bit that's almost exactly like that part in Lord of the Rings where Frodo is hiding from the ring wraiths, where King Kong runs around a corner, very like doom da doom da doom, and he like hides behind a rock.
I think that is this movie's version of showing King Kong is the intelligent monster of the two of them. Because he hides?
because he hides and he uses tools insofar as he throws rocks and misses when he does that.
Right, yeah. That's like, honestly, that's his main mode of attack is just throwing rocks.
Yeah. He also learns, he learns that Godzilla's tail can be a weakness. Because he sees Godzilla's tail as Godzilla's looking around for him, and Kong's like looking at it and he's like following it like it's a tennis match. Yeah. He's like, and he grabs the tail and starts trying to wing Godzilla around, and Godzilla's like crawling up a mountain to get away, and King Kong's like, no.
You see, it could have been. It's just so difficult because really the only way to attack Godzilla via tail is to like snap him like a towel, and that would have been too funny.
It's true.
He's just trying to pull him back via his tail.
Also, the only way Godzilla ever attacks King Kong is by shoot. He does it in two ways. One way is by slapping him repeatedly with his tail, which he does so often. And the other way,
it's that and the atomic breath.
The other way is firing atomic breath at King Kong's disturbingly naked titties.
They're hanging right out there.
It's the only part of his body that's not like just very clearly fake fur. And Godzilla's just zeroed in on that, and he's just firing these atomic breaths at him. And King Kong's reaction to getting hit with atomic breath is the same every single time, where he's just like, he stops and he's like, what the fuck is this guy doing to me?
he's like still not sure that was physically possible what just happened.
Yeah, he's deeply confused by it. He's just like, that doesn't seem right.
It's not even it's not even like it really hurt.
No.
He's just like, what? That's annoying. How did you do that?
Can I do that? And then Godzilla whaps him with his tail. I feel like neither of these monsters ever gets demonstrably injured, except when Godzilla knocks Kong to the ground. Dude, you know what I'm about to be talking about?
Yes,
he knocks Kong to the ground, and then he like whips into like the cliff or whatever with his tail and causes a rock slide that just starts barreling Kong's derpy eye closed face.
This is my question.
Yeah.
How long does this scene did it go on in the Japanese
It's
version?
so long, dude. It's like,
okay, because it was so long
it's
for
like
me. It was at
5
least like 6 hits against
yeah,
the cliff.
it's like 5 minutes of Godzilla just like throwing more rocks onto Kong's like clearly unconscious body and then whapping him with his tail.
I'm always rooting for Kong. I don't know why. I just have an affinity for Kong.
Yeah.
And seeing him in this scene in general, I'm just like, Kong, come on, dude, you're getting your ass kicked.
Yeah.
Come on,
Come on,
and he's
Rock.
like laying down. Come on, buddy, come on. I'm like his guy in the ring. I'd be behind him, like massaging him.
Yeah.
And he's getting his ass kicked the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
And then when Godzilla's hitting all these fucking landslide rocks onto him, he's just laying there with his derpy face. And what I imagine is that it's kind of like a Captain Marvel situation.
Okay.
You know, where she's been knocked down over and over and over again. Except, unfortunately, we just don't get the voiceover.
Yeah.
But you get, like, Kong's Nick Fury, and you get Kong's mom, and they're all like, you just have to learn to get back up. You have to learn to get back up. And then he gets up, and that it kind of happens?
Sort of. He just kind of hops back up and starts punching again. No, he doesn't. I can't believe... This is Brian from the future. I can't believe I didn't remember that Kong gets struck by lightning in the face, and that's what gives him his big punching energy. He's got lightning powers in this movie. How did we not mention that? I'm losing my fucking mind. Anyway, back to the past. There's a bit where they're both fighting next to this, like, I think it's like a shrine. It's like a really beautiful building. And they both just stop fighting to beat the shit out of this building. Like
they both agreed. Fuck that building.
Yeah, like they're just on either side of the building, just punching it. And they're like, okay, now that that's done, we can continue fighting.
Oh man!
And finally,
it's also
yeah.
Now remind me, it's a plot point, right? That the ad agency guys want them to fight after a point in time.
They want them to fight, and they want Kong to win. The ad agency guys are rooting for Kong, and which is
because then he can be their milk sponsor or whatever they want.
It is interesting though, because this is Godzilla's third movie, but it's also a movie where it's made by Toho, but they're rooting for Kong. Kong's the the good guy of this fight, I guess. So Kong, our hero, is tumbling with Godzilla all down through the streets until finally they reach the sea, the ocean, and they both just kind of like they're on a cliff, right? And then they like fall into the sea. Is that how that goes?
Right. Yep, yeah, that is how that
They
goes.
both just launch off of a cliff into the sea. Big cannonball, lovely splash. Everybody loves it. And then, very unexpectedly for me, I don't know if it was that way for you, but very unexpectedly, the fight is over and Kong rises out of the sea and has won.
Yeah, so who knows what happened under those waters?
Right, maybe they came to an understanding.
In them deep, dark waters.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance that they just like shook hands and then Godzilla swam away.
Honestly, yeah, I mean, because they must realize we're fighting for no particular reason
yeah, like,
at all.
And it's like, I know we're usually not fighting for a reason, but this one feels especially reasonless.
Especially like there's nothing in it for either of us.
Yeah, like there's no metaphors here, I feel.
Godzilla wasn't even awake for any particular reason.
No, he just pissed his way out of the iceberg. That was all. And so now I kind of so I have information on obviously the two different endings where Kong wins in the American version and Godzilla wins in the Japanese version. That's not a real thing. Kong always wins. But there is something that's different. And you would have seen this in the American version. But so there's two differences with the ending. For one, the dialogue is slightly different. In the Japanese version, the guys in like the helicopter and like the ad agency guys are wondering if Godzilla might be dead or not as they watch Kong kind of walk away. And that it's
it's completely unsure.
Right, and they're saying it's possible that he survived. But in the American version, onlookers just say Godzilla has disappeared without a trace. And newly shot scenes of a reporter, I think the UN guy you were talking about, have him watching Kong swim home on a view screen and wishing him luck on his long journey home.
Yeah. Yep. That is how that movie ends. And you know what I wanted desperately?
Yeah.
I just wanted Ocean Man. Take me by the hand.
Lead me to the land. And another
the best ending.
Another difference is that once the film fades to black, Godzilla's roar followed by Kong's is heard in the Japanese soundtrack, but in the American version, it's just Kong. They get rid of the Godzilla roar.
I only got Kong. Yeah.
So I wonder if that was another, like, if the universal note there was, we want it to be more definitive. We want our American boy, Kong himself, to definitely have won and Godzilla is gone. Like, he doesn't even get to take a curtain call at the end.
Right.
That's really interesting to me, because I feel like that's the kernel of truth to that myth.
Toho has rules about what American production companies can and cannot do with Godzilla.
Right.
Godzilla can't die.
Right.
Cannot die on screen. And so that's very interesting that the end of the Japanese version, at least at this point in Godzilla's history, was them saying, we don't know if he's alive or dead. Like, it's a possibility. And obviously the American version is just, he's disappeared.
Yeah, he's just gone.
So both versions are unsure, but the verbiage of it is super interesting.
Yeah, and the fact that Godzilla doesn't get to take a curtain call the way that Kong's roar does.
Yeah.
Also, Kong's roar is kind of ugly in this movie. That's a nitpick, but I don't like it.
It's pretty lame.
Like, Godzilla's roar is sexy, but Kong's is nothing.
It is sexy. And I didn't realize how consistent it has always been.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the newer ones, it sounds just like that. It just sounds like a modern version of that exact same roar.
I think it's
cool.
It's at a point where it's like that. You don't tug on Superman's cape. You don't mess with Godzilla's roar. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
So, did you like this movie?
Man, it's hard to say because I feel like if you, I, and the recently deceased Caro could have watched it together, I think I would have liked it.
Interesting.
But I think watching it alone, I just didn't click. Like, it just didn't click, you know? And most of the time I was kind of bored being like, let big monsters fight. And then they fought, but it was not a good fight.
I can actually give the other side of that, because when I watched it with Karen and I watched it with her roommates. So there were like 3 or 4 of us watching it at the same time. And it actually, like, because they would come in and out. Like, Karen and I were watching it the whole time, but like her roommates and stuff would come in and out. And it was demonstrably less fun the fewer people there were in the room. Like, every time you removed a person from the room, the movie became more boring. And the more people there were, the more fun it was. So this is definitely a watch party movie. This is not let me see this on my own at, in the middle of the night, whatever.
But, that begs the question, is there a Godzilla or a Kong movie that is better served with, a glass of Chardonnay and...
Maybe the originals of each? Maybe original King Kong, original Godzilla. Right. And something else...
It's more academic.
Yeah, something else that makes me sad. This one, like, it makes this movie incredibly funny that it's just so clearly two guys in suits. Just they're so hot and they're so tired and they're just throwing things at each other and wrestling around.
And it somehow reflects in the design of the suits that they are in.
Yeah, the suits look tired. Like, they look uncomfortable. But it does make me sad. And there are tiny snippets of it in this movie of stop motion. It makes me sad that there's like almost no stop motion in this movie.
Yeah. Like The stuff that I noticed and I loved it was like there was some water stuff that was clearly stop motion.
Yeah, and there was a moment.
I thought it was really
there's
cool.
a moment that's pretty janky, but I still like it, where Godzilla, I think, like jumps in the air and kicks Kong in the stomach or something, and that's stop motion. Basically anything that involves them moving their legs when they're as opposed to just waddling around the soundstage was just stop motion. But look, this movie's super racist. I'm gonna put that up front.
Yep.
So it's obviously bad. Maybe
Warning for
if
that,
you
yeah.
skip the whole native section. Here's how I think you should watch this movie. I think you should look up online King Kong versus Godzilla scenes, like full fights. Just watch those. That's the best stuff. You get the balloons. You get the confused Kong, the throwing rocks, the whipping around by the tail.
And if you can get your hands on the squid scene,
maybe watch that.
Just do it.
Yeah, but
Just
watch
do
the
it.
Japanese
Yeah, why
version.
not?
Watch the Japanese version, because there's one guy who's
don't watch my
there's one
version.
guy who's really just like, why are we fighting this thing? And I think that's really funny.
That's the only reason probably to watch that.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
So what do you think? Drunk out of 5?
I think drunk out of 5 it would be really high. I think
Yeah.
it actually would be like a 4 out of 5 on the drunk scale.
This might be the first one where I could
Theoretically.
Yeah, this might be the first one where I could pretty definitively say like a 4 out of 5 or like a 3 out of 5, because
Right.
you should be a little bit, not in your right mind watching this movie.
Right. Yeah. For sure.
And so, oh god, I've never had to do this list before of very similar words: good bad movie, bad movie, guilty pleasure. Right?
Yeah. So worst of the worst,
Worst-
best of the
Oh
worst,
Christ.
and guilty pleasure.
Yes. Okay. Those are the 3. That's tough.
I think we'll have to say a theoretical best of the worst.
if you had
my
watched it
experience of it-
in the right
If I had
situation.
watched it, I know if I watched it in the right context, I would have been like, this movie's fucking awesome.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would say, though, are we just advocating for friendship at that point? Because I feel like that's not the
Maybe, we
movie
might.
doing a good job.
Well, we lost a friend today.
We did. Maybe the real King Kong versus Godzilla was the friends we
we
lost along the way. Yeah.
Damn.
So let's say worst of the worst because it killed
Because
Caro.
it killed Caro. Yeah, killed Caro.
Yeah, King Kong not only maybe murdered Godzilla, but he also murdered our dear friend. So a moment of silence, and then the bell will ring, and you will all be free to go, but we will still be stuck to this desk with our very dead friend.
Till the end of time.
Till the end of time. Oh, nope, the nurse is coming in. It's going to be fine, guys. Well, Carol will be back next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
It seems another period is at an end, as the eternal war between the ape and the lizard continues on. But be sure to join us again next week for another lesson in terror.